DIY Watercolor Journal, How to Make Your Own Watercolor Sketchbook. Making a watercolor journal is a fun and creative project that allows you to combine your love of painting and journaling. Here are the steps to make your own watercolor journal. Materials: watercolor paper, cut into desired size. Awl or needle. Thread. Binding needle. Pencil. Ruler. Bone folder or scoring tool. Cutting mat. X-Acto knife. Cutting board. Watercolors and paintbrushes. Optional: decorative paper, stickers, or other embellishments. Instructions: cut the watercolor paper into the desired size for your journal. You can use a ruler and X-Acto knife to make precise cuts on a cutting mat. Use a bone folder or scoring tool to create a crease down the center of each sheet of paper. This will allow the pages to fold easily and make it easier to sew the pages together. Use the awl or needle to poke evenly spaced holes along the folded crease of each sheet of paper. You can use a ruler to make sure the holes are evenly spaced. Thread the binding needle with the thread of your choice. Start by sewing the first sheet of paper to the cover. To do this, thread the needle through the first hole in the paper, then through the corresponding hole in the cover. Continue sewing through each hole until you reach the last one. Tie off the thread with a knot. Continue sewing the remaining sheets of paper to the cover, following the same process. Make sure to keep the pages aligned as you sew them together. Decorate the cover of your journal with watercolors or any other embellishments you like. Once you have finished sewing all the pages together, you can use the watercolor journal to record your thoughts, sketches, and paintings. And that's it. You have successfully created your very own watercolor journal. Happy painting! Watercolor paper comes in various sizes and weights. Choose a size that is convenient for you and a weight that can handle the water and pigment of watercolors without warping or bleeding. If you don't have an awl or needle, you can use a push pin or another sharp object to make the holes in the paper. You can choose any type of thread or string for your journal, but waxed linen thread is a popular choice for bookbinding because it is strong and durable. Decorative paper or cardstock can be used to make the cover of your journal more interesting. You can also use stickers, washi tape, or other embellishments to personalize your journal. When painting in your watercolor journal, you can use any watercolor techniques you like, such as wet on wet, wet on dry, or dry brush. Be sure to use a light touch with the water and paint to avoid saturating the paper and causing it to warp. You can also use your watercolor journal to experiment with different color combinations and techniques, such as mixing colors or creating gradients. If you make a mistake in your painting or writing, don't worry. Watercolor paper is forgiving and allows you to lift or erase pigment with water or a white eraser. To protect your watercolor journal, you can store it in a dry place away from direct sunlight and humidity. You can also use a protective cover or sleeve to prevent the cover and pages from getting damaged. When choosing a cover material for your watercolor journal, consider using a thicker or sturdier material than the watercolor paper itself. This will provide extra protection and durability to your journal. You can also create your own cover by painting on a separate piece of watercolor paper, cutting it to size, and attaching it to the front and back covers of your journal. If you prefer a more rustic or natural look for your journal, you can use a piece of leather or suede as the cover material. Cut the leather or suede to size, and then use a hole punch to create the binding holes. To make your journal more versatile, you can create a removable cover that can be easily replaced when it gets worn or damaged. To do this, attach the watercolor paper to a separate cover piece using binder clips or removable adhesive. If you want to add more pages to your watercolor journal, you can sew in additional sheets of paper using the same binding method. Just make sure to keep the pages aligned and evenly spaced. To create a more professional-looking binding, you can use a bookbinding glue or adhesive to secure the pages to the cover. Apply the glue to the spine of the pages and attach them to the cover, making sure to press down firmly. You can also add pockets or envelopes to your watercolor journal for storing small items such as paintbrushes, reference photos, or other ephemera. To create a pocket, simply glue or stitch a piece of paper or cardstock to the inside cover of your journal. Finally, don't be afraid to experiment and make your watercolor journal your own. Use it to explore your creativity and express your thoughts and ideas through painting and writing.